the New York State Department of Transportation, the project formerly known as the Kensington Expressway Project, is now called Queen City Forward, or it's been branded Queen City Forward by the New York State Department of Transportation. So if you'll remember, just to bring people up to speed, originally New York State Department of Transportation, or NYSDOT, proposed a cap and tunnel of the 33, and their plan was to kind of just put a cover over the Kensington Expressway or the 33 and build a tunnel. And there was a community group called the East Side Parkways Coalition that ended up suing NYSDOT to, one, halt the project, but also to get more environmental studies. So the state actually failed to do what was the legally required full environmental impact statement, because this project is going to have a tremendous impact on the environment. And SECRA, or the State Environmental Quality Review, actually defines environment as something much broader. So you got to think of things like the economy, traffic, noise, pollution, community character are all parts of that. So East Side Parkways was successful in their lawsuit, and the state did not appeal because they, as the judge said, you can't build a Tim Hortons in Western New York without doing an environmental impact statement. So the idea that the state could do, this generation's largest infrastructure project without one was inconceivable. So that's kind of to bring people up to speed. Where we are now is, there's been a complete reset on the project. So it's gone to what was, going to be a full-fledged project, and now they are literally at square one, or as in computer science, as they say, number zero. We're at zero. And I did go to an earlier listening session, and really that was kind of, I think, the thing we need to kind of deprogram ourselves about. This is a completely different project. And one of the things that when I went to the first listening session, all the maps that they had on display were, maps of the entire Kensington. So not just the Humboldt part in the city, but they had maps all the way out to the airport and even past the airport. So I really think that this game that NYSDOT's playing of environmental planning, really the field we're on has changed. So this is about Humboldt Parkway. This is also Humboldt Parkway and the entire Kensington Expressway out to the airport. So they've kind of set it very broadly. But that was kind of my biggest takeaway, just seeing the maps of, okay, the actual field that we're on is different now. So that was just my perceptions, but it's still, this is, again, back to square zero, a completely different project. And obviously I'm a proponent of fully restoring Humboldt Parkway. And obviously if you did that, you would need to consider how all the traffic, so dead ends, you can't just dead end a highway. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. And I think kind of what these listening sessions are, and the NYSDOT's having a few different listening sessions where they're kind of doing these community community events to get input. And really what it's technically called is a planning charrette, because what you'll go into this community center or building, and I think when normal people think of listening, they think of a town hall, people are talking into microphones. But really what I think it's Labella Institute or Labella Engineers is the name of the firm that's been contracted by NYSDOT to do this environmental impact study. But they're doing something called a planning charrette, or a planning charrette. So you'll walk into this room, and at least how the first couple were set up is they have these boards, and they'll give you a bunch of Post-it notes, and there'll be some representatives from NYSDOT and also from Labella there answering questions, engaging with the community. And really it's a game of Post-it note warfare. So really the goal here is and what they're really doing in this planning charrette is they're kind of trying to quantize or community feedback, right? So they're going to literally count Post-it notes at the end to try to derive themes of what the community wants, or, when they're listening to us. So really it's a form of Post-it note warfare. The goal when you go to these events is, essentially, if you didn't write it down and put it on a board, it didn't exist. So really it's the goal is who can get the most Post-it notes on. So you get a roll of Post-it notes, just sign those Post-it notes with your feedback, put them on the maps, put them on the question prompts, but make sure that you fill out Post-it notes and you put them on the boards, because that's how they're officially going to tally up what people think. So for East Side Parkways, and I know proponents of restoring the Humboldt, what we need to do as a community is take Post-it notes, write restore Humboldt Highway, put it on, restore Humboldt Highway, or restore Humboldt Parkway, put it on, restore Humboldt Parkway, post it, prioritize community health, post it, bring back the Humboldt Parkway, post it, and just don't worry about repeating yourself, because there's no way to say who put up what. Just literally put your thoughts on the board. And because ultimately this stage that we're in, the early EIS phase, they're just scoping the project. So they're just kind of setting goals, setting objectives. And this is really, I kind of use the analogy of, we're planting trees here, right? So we're planting seeds, we're putting seeds into the soil. The seeds that we put in today are going to ultimately grow the project. Because if we have, a lot of people saying that we want the status quo, we want the highway as it is. If most of the post-it notes say that is ultimately the tree we're going to be growing. So it's very important to get out, get your thoughts heard, and also learn. I think one of the things for me that was enjoyable was actually interfacing with the engineers, the planners, the architects that are actually writing the documents and doing the work. Because a lot of them, they're not political; they're just hired to do a job, and they are genuinely curious. So I encourage everyone. And actually, the next listening session, the future of New York State Route 33 Expressway, listening session number 3 is at the Cheektowaga Senior Citizen Center. So 3349 Broadway in Cheektowaga from 5 to 7. So again, January 2nd, 5 to 7 at the Cheektowaga Senior Citizen Center is the next listening session. And then also, so that was number 3. Number 4 will be February 5th. This is at the Amherst Center for Senior Services, 370 John James Audubon Parkway in Amherst from 5 to 7. So January 2nd, there will be a listening session at the Cheektowaga Community Center, 5 to 7. And February 5th, there will be a 4th listening session at the John J. Audubon Parkway Center or the Amherst Center for Senior Citizens, or out in Amherst. So if you can make either of those sessions, I encourage you to go to them and learn, give your feedback. And I think there's going to be a few more of these, but right now we just have 2 on the agenda. So the 22nd in Cheektowaga, and then February 5th. And yeah, just important to go participate. And yeah, let's all plant seeds to fully restore Humboldt Parkway. Now is the time to kind of plant those trees. It's in our post-it notes. It might not feel like it, but that's what we're doing, is we're planting the Humboldt Parkway post-it note by post-it note. So yeah, so I think that's also something that's very urgent.